Are you in control of your mind? If you're not in control of your mind, then who is? Where do your feelings come from, if not from you? We create our emotions in response to how we think, because unless we are triggered or in fight or flight mode, your thoughts determine your emotions. Don't become a victim of your mind. You can instead take responsibility for your mind and stop overthinking your thoughts, many of which are simply untrue. How do we do this? Well, the short answer is you create internal boundaries with simplicity and discipline and stop your busy mind. Let's face it, actually saying stop it alone doesn't work. But we can create internal boundaries by finding ways to not allow our mind to take control with negative thinking or rumination through simple, motivated discipline. Thoughts can take on the role of a kind of a one-sided conversation in your head, a conversation or stream of consciousness that if you were to say it out loud, anyone listening would think you were mad. Our stream of thinking can get out of hand. Research shows that we have as many as 96,000 thoughts a day, 70% of which are repeated from the day before. So what can we do in a positive way to manage our mind? 1, accept it, but with a specific time or limit. Decide that you're going to allocate, say, half an hour a day to ruminate, at which point you decide it must come to an end. This enables us to acknowledge rather than abandon this part of who we are. 2, you can externalize your thoughts. A good example of this is journaling, where you spend a set period of time every day, usually 15 minutes, to write down whatever is circulating in your head. Some therapists call this morning pages, an opportunity to separate and dump whatever is going on in your mind. Thirdly, distract or escape from your thoughts. Many of us have hobbies where we are actively focused on a task. This focuses the mind away from negativity. A good example of escapism is reading or watching films where we can get absorbed into a different world. Fourthly, focus it. For some people, their hobby is also their profession or work. This can be really helpful where the nature of your work is something you are passionate about and is in alignment with your needs, your values and beliefs. However, in contrast, when our work is not in alignment, this can be detrimental, resulting in an increase in negative thinking. Fifthly, embody your thinking. We can minimize, if not eradicate, our negative thinking by getting into our body. This can be physical exercise, yoga, tai chi, or even EFT, or as we call it, tapping. Sixthly, you can offload it. Dorothy Sayers is believed to have coined the phrase, "A problem shared is a problem halved." Sharing our inner world with close friends, family, or partner is a common way that helps us process uncomfortable thoughts. For those who don't share these connections, a therapist like me is an ideal person to share difficult thoughts and feelings. Seventh, diminish your thinking. A good example of diminishing our thoughts is meditation, mindfulness, or even chanting. We know the human mind has a negativity bias and loves to create illusions about who we are based on negative core beliefs. In fact, the top 3 negative core beliefs are: I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable, I can't cope. These are largely unconscious decisions made by us as children in response to negative parental messages received as a result of unhelpful parenting. Taoist monk David Lee James says, "These are lies we tell ourselves from childhood. They are simply not true and are a form of indoctrination, frankly. These negative core beliefs that are usually locked down by negative emotions of anxiety, anger, or sadness are held by the child within us. We call this our inner child, an inner child that has been wounded and will heal with understanding, acknowledgement, acceptance, and compassion. We call this healing the inner child." How do we know these negative core beliefs are lies? David Lee James says the test for these lies is, for example, would you say you're not good enough to your own child? If the answer is inevitably no, then you are clearly operating what we call a dual belief system. In other words, you can't believe your inner child is unlovable unless you're prepared to say that to your own child as a truth, which clearly you wouldn't. He goes on to say you can only love yourself if you are true to yourself. Believing you're unlovable is a lie. So when your inner child shows up with a negative core belief, manifested in adulthood as negative emotions or behavior in certain situations, you and your therapist must get underneath your negative core beliefs and see what childhood wounding has been driving them. In other words, whatever you decided as a child must be redecided as an adult because it is untrue. By developing an intimate relationship with your inner child with both acceptance and compassion. If you would like help redeciding who you are, get in touch. Visit my website and book a free discovery call and let's see what's possible.